Hey everyone, this is Black Alchemy and welcome back to my channel. I know with the Civil War patch there's a lot of both excitement and frustration in that the changes gave some underperforming mechs some more options, while other builds that have been working for a long time, like the Kodiak Gauss PPC build, has to undergo some adjustments, requiring more C build time and skill point investments. So we're going to talk about one of those major changes in this video, and we're going to see how it affects the Mad Cat Mark II hero mech, the Deathstrike. By the way, one of my viewers reminded me that the chassis should be called Mark II and not MK2, so thanks for pointing that out. Now, even though I knew MK2 stood for Mark II, I felt that MK2 sounded a little bit cooler. But anyways, let's get into the main topic of our video, which is the changes in the last two patches that impact the clan Laser Vomit and Laser Gauss playstyles, which is essentially Laser Vomit with some added Gauss rifles. Now, Laser Vomit has been one of the more popular clan playstyles since clans were introduced back in 2014. The playstyle hinged mostly on boating big laser weapons until you reach the ghost heat limit of 3, then add ER meads for additional alpha. So for the last 2 years, you really just had two choices for the big laser part of your equation, which is the ER large laser and the LPL. And most of the time, the large pulse laser won because of its better damage to heat ratio, lower duration that matched the ER meads, and being able to do 2 more points of damage per shot. The ER large laser's longer range wasn't a huge benefit because your ideal range was really at the ER mid range. However, the last two patches saw the reduction of the LPL's damage output and introduced a heavy large laser, which together made the choice less obvious. Now with the LPLs, you're getting only 1 more point of damage than the ERs, and 6 less damage than the heavy. It's still the most heat efficient by a small margin, but it's also the heaviest. Heavy large lasers, on the other hand, has a range that syncs well with the ER meads, but its cooldown does not. It also takes up a lot of slots, which could be a problem for mechs with a lot of locked equipment. ER largest, lastly, has the lowest damage, but a substantial duration reduction a couple of patches ago, high range and low weight, has finally made it a good general purpose option for the solo queue, instead of just for FP or competitive play, where the map is known beforehand. So my current opinion is that OPLs are a good option if you have the weight for it. You have plenty of energy hardpoints so that you can build a bunch of Miis and 2 LPLs, and don't mind a little bit lower range than the ER large lasers. A good use case I think is something like on the Direwolf. Heavy larges are more suitable for those cases where you have a limited number of energy hardpoints. You want to engage purely at mid-range and still want a big alpha. So a good example is the Mark II 1 variant, which just has 4 energy hardpoints. So in that case, if you use the LPLs and ER means, the alpha becomes a lot weaker. The ER larges are a good case for when you have a lot of hardpoints, but is perhaps slightly tunge starved. And this last point brings us to the Deathstrike. Although it's a 90 tonner, if you use LPLs, you'd have to sacrifice engine size, heatsinks, and range for pretty much just a measly 2 points of damage per alpha and shaving off 1/10 of a second off of the longest duration laser in that alpha. So in this particular case, I feel the ER large laser is a better option. So I can explain more about the pros and cons of this build when in a match. So let's get into it right now. So this match on Grim Plexus, I think, is a really good demonstration of the ER large laser ER mid combo when used with a Gauss rifle. So this style or this variation of the clan laser Gauss playstyle, it's not like the best played match, but I think it's a very good demo that you can see how having the multi-range option allows you to engage in both kind of the longer range initial phases of a match, like on Grim Plexus, Frozen City, maps like that, and then you can actually get into closer range, more mid-range type of engagements later on. And we'll see that the ER large lasers actually perform relatively well in those situations as well. So here we're just getting in some initial trades with other ranged mechs who are carrying ER PPCs. I'm guessing ER PPCs, ER large lasers themselves. So we're not losing, we're not doing too bad on these trades, but at the same time, I'm taking a little bit more damage than I think I like. There's, looks like there's some mechs carrying AC2s as well, so it's a bunch of mechs out there taking long range stuff more than more than what I would like to trade with. So I'm trying to get out of there right now. Move back a little bit out of the way. Again, I think this this build can handle maybe one, maybe two mechs that are trading with you, not like three or four, which was what was happening at that time. So I just needed to get out of there. Meanwhile, our team is getting closer, so kind of like the long range role that I was trying to play wasn't as important anymore. Like if I stood out too far in the back, then I might get left behind, get jumped by maybe some light mech or something. So I need to get a little bit closer.
All those assaults in the back need to move up.
And I wasn't really winning so much at long range either because there was like again three mechs, multiple mechs trading with me at the same time.
Watch out, got an NDA. You got another one headed your way.
Yeah, we're spread way too far out. We should be focusing on Golf 7.
I think you'll see with a couple of these shots, maybe one of the drawbacks of the Deathstrike. Maybe not so, it's not so bad, but the build is somewhat wide and the convergence isn't as good.
You're not going to shoot down a UAV with ATF.
And so you'll end up clipping terrain or obstacles a lot of times if you're just peeking corners.
I think the only things I haven't shot down with is a machine gun.
But the good thing about the Deathstrike versus maybe like the Direwolf is that it's number one, not as wide. Number two, it's fast enough to kind of fast enough to get back into cover once it's taken its shot. Much faster than the Direwolf can. I do have a couple of laser duration skill nodes unlocked, but you'll see that the duration between the ER mids and the ER larges is not that great, not very big, I would say. So they match up quite well now, actually. And it's not too difficult to keep your lasers on one or two components during the burn. I think one comment is that ER large lasers, I think for clan was one of the I think it's one of in MechWarrior or BattleTech, this is one of the big advantages that clan had against IS before, and until now it really wasn't used all that much in solo queue. Maybe we'll see a little bit more and more of its use. This stupid urban mech, kind of annoying.
You're really chasing an urban.
Bam. I mean, you gotta give a shout out, or you gotta give it to these urban mech pilots. They're out there, piloting this ridiculous mech, and sometimes doing very well with them.
They got us surrounded.
So I'm down to one Gauss ammo now. So like 45 rounds is good enough for most cases, and if you really want to have like an extra 5 rounds, you could definitely do that. I wouldn't go all the way to like 60 rounds. 50 I think is generally good enough.
Now he's pouring me. Please kill Bravo.
So to go to like 50 rounds of Gauss ammo, I think you need to I killed that Abinjag with the last Gauss round. But yeah, if you want to go to 50 rounds on the Gauss, You'd have to
Playing
sacrifice
a lot for a guy.
like one engine size, I think, one engine rating.
I'm not complaining at all, bro.
One thing to know about this
Fucking
build is
won the
that
game.
it
I
is
tell 'em
quite
what to
hot,
do.
and even with a lot of the
Okay.
heat gen nodes unlocked, you cannot, I believe you cannot alpha twice in succession, so without some cooldown in
Yeah, we
between.
just try the light machine guns.
So
Those are
do be
better than
careful with
HMGs.
this build. It only has, I think it's maybe like 3
Yeah. They have
heat
like
sinks
13
away from
times
where I
per
would
race,
like it to
so
be,
it's stupid.
but it's manageable if you control your
Yeah,
head.
those
Okay guys, I know among these latest patches there's a lot of other topics to cover, so I hope to bring you more updates in the near future. So don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel if you really enjoyed this video, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.